What's up, dog? How you doing?
You know, online here in the
I don't know what you said, but I agree. Yo, welcome everybody. Q&A. We'll be starting. We'll start soon. Maybe in like 10-15 minutes.
Hit him with a starter too.
Hit 'em with a-
Is there a password?
There's no
What's up,
password.
Michael?
Yo.
Hey, Michael.
What's up, dog?
Yo, no, that was fucking sick, bro.
Thank you, dog. I appreciate it.
Michael, you look good.
Noah.
Thank you, Joanne.
That was amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Where's Jared?
Jared? I saw Jared here.
Where's Jared's face?
Jared didn't
No,
he's on
Rushid.
mute and he didn't turn his camera on.
Jared somewhere.
Yeah, Rushid.
Oh,
Y'all gotta give me a second, all right?
What's
all right.
up, everybody?
Down.
Hello.
Yo, Asha, what's
Yeah.
good?
Hey.
That shit was fire.
Hey, dog.
How are you guys?
How do you like no eyebrow life?
It's crazy. It's weird. I'm like an alien, but you know, it's all good.
Does like the sweat drip to your face faster?
Huh?
Does the sweat drip to your face faster?
Sydney Red.
I don't even know. It's like I feel like an old person, but like an alien old person.
I like that.
I don't know. It's
What's up, everybody?
what's up?
We're still waiting. Where's Mason at, dog? Mason said my dad's being jokes right now. Big joke.
He's the star. He's busy. He has a very busy interview schedule, you know.
Yeah, he's got
He's
mad.
in really high demand right now.
Yes, sir. Oh, Reese from what's up? That was such a
Oh, who's Annie Tien?
this lady here.
What's up?
Hi, Annie Tien.
Hey.
And he's one of the producers.
Yes, I am.
Bow down to Queen Annie.
She also assistant edited. Did you turn it?
Hi, guys.
Oh, Jared, what's up?
Turn my shit on.
Wait, how come you're on a laptop?
Yeah, I was just thinking I want to get on my laptop, bro. Hi, Kian.
You look cute. as
Cutie.
shit. You look so cute.
Man, stop.
Kian.
Mikey.
Michael.
Oh, no, why is your screen so dark? How come your lights are off?
Who?
I turned all my lights off to watch the film, you know.
Oh, okay.
Gotta get that cinema experience.
Gotta get the
Private
vibe.
theater, you know.
Jared, are you on a phone?
I'm on the phone. I'm about to get on my laptop, bro.
Sus.
How that sucks?
What's up, Skylar?
The phone has a better camera.
Skylar's the DP, everybody.
So, who in here
Skylar's here.
was
It's like
like
FaceTime.
directly involved?
Who's directly involved? Okay. Justin's one of the directors. Say hi, Justin.
Yes, hello.
Justin.
Hi, Justin.
There's
Hi,
Jasper.
Justin.
Jasper.
Who's Jasper?
Say hi, Jasper.
Hello.
Hey, Jasper.
Greetings.
Oh, Jasper, you were James, right?
Yes, it's on my name thing.
Bro, Noah looks so sus.
No,
He looks so
no,
sus.
turn your lights.
I'm actually I'm sourcing all of your guys' CPU power for Bitcoin.
Bro, he looks like an
chill.
anime villain.
No, you look like you're like hacking the mainframe right now.
He's in. Watch the fuck out.
Oh my god, bro.
Show up.
Every time he takes over my screen, I get scared.
Fucking chill.
But other people that are in the film or directly involved is Asha. Asha was costumes with Gianna. Say hi. She's the one with no eyebrows. The alien grandma. There's Sydney Red. Everyone say hi to Sydney Red. There's the art director.
Hello.
Hi.
All the beautiful stuff with the lady in the yellow dress Sydney did. Oh, there's Rebecca, yo. What's up, Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca.
There's Mason.
What? We got Justin on the Zoom.
Mason, good job, dude.
What up? Who's that?
Oh,
Just a fan.
Chris Moon.
do an introduction.
What's up, Mason? You
What's
killed
up,
it.
Chris? Cheers. So did you?
Cheers.
I didn't know
Awesome.
the words to that song, but it was a good song.
Oh, please. Couldn't have done it without this guy right here.
Daniel Raya.
Yes, King put your foot in that.
Sugar.
Hey, yo.
I really want to get out.
I knew that voice anyway.
Jasper, what's up, guys?
But yes, Daniel Wright, who just came in, was one of the
Asha, hey. Issa, what up, Issa? What up, Ramon? Daniel Ray, Zach Waters, Joe, Sky, Will McNeil,
Who else?
Avery, hey. We got Blake Miller, we got Sebastian.
Yeah,
Almost
Blake Miller was
Sam
wow.
and Madison are in here.
Got iPhone tuned
Berkeley.
in.
wow, there's a lot of people.
Oh, there you go.
So Sam.
Started.
Yo,
Sam, where you at?
I'm right here, cuz.
All right, guys, let's start with the questions and the answers. So thank you everybody for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah,
Loved it.
that was good.
That shit was tough.
I guess if anyone
Dad, you got a question?
Anyone has a question?
Put in the chat.
You got a question?
So how long did it take, like from start to finish? Like when did you start writing it, and then when was the whole thing, the final cut, done?
Okay, so summer before sophomore year of college, Chris Moon came to me and was like, "Yo, I want to make a movie with Ryan over the summer," and I was like, "Okay." And so I was like thinking about ideas, and then I had the idea for the end, that the brother would kill his younger brother, and so
So he did kill him.
what's that?
He did kill him. I was like a little bit confused about that part, but so yeah, he did.
Yes, Justin kills Mason. Georgie kills Ernest. In the film. A little fun fact: Georgie is named Georgie because in Of Mice and Men, Georgie kills Lenny.
Oh.
Yes, sir. So there's a little fun fact. But yeah, so that was like summer going into sophomore year, and then my sophomore year I started writing the first semester, and then the second semester we started production on White Castle. So 2018 March, February to March we filmed, and then from then till now we've been editing and re-editing and all of that stuff. So it's a matter of like 2.5 years.
Tell them how many cuts.
There's like 12 cuts. This is the 12th cut you guys have seen. It's gone through many iterations. Yeah. So yeah, that's how long it took. 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Okay. Mason, your dad have a question for us?
Yeah, he wants to know why Big Bear and what lake was Ernest thrown into.
Okay, Big Bear only because like that's the only like camping spot I really know around me in Orange County. So that's why I did it. Just localize the film. The lake, pick a lake. I don't really know. I didn't think about it.
Here's a question. What footage was that shown? That was somewhere in Virginia, right?
That was, yeah, at that time we lived in Washington, D.C., so that was probably, it could have been Clear Lake in Maryland, somewhere there. So, but we did throw.
That's the question I had. Was that real home? Like, was that real family footage from Mason?
Sure.
Yeah, that was us.
Woo! And Mason broke his leg when he was like 4. So his
Baby
brother-
Mason
Oh,
is so
bro.
cute.
Awesome.
All right.
Good. That was good.
Thank you. Yeah, I like went through. Yeah, Mason gave me a lot of his VHS footage, and I just kind of like scrolled through them. I watched Mason grow up. I watched his childhood, becoming a man. You also like recorded over some footage, just so you know, like, and then it's just like you, like as a freshman, you're just like,
me in college?
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
I don't
accidentally.
know what memories you think are more precious, but.
Unfortunately.
Noah,
I got a question. Low key.
Okay.
What was the inspiration for? I think it was Jasper's haircut with the little.
Oh,
the
ask
bangs?
Jasper. Ask Jasper. That's all Jasper.
Was that like a production decision, or did
Well,
y'all
okay.
like? Was that?
Okay, well, Jasper, when he auditioned, right, his hair was even worse. Like, it was like, like this part, like all of this was cut off, but it was just a mullet. So it was like, imagine a mullet, like the mullet part, but then everything else was bald. So the reason why we casted Jasper was because he's already a character. So I told he asked me like the day before the shoot, like, what should I do with my hair? And I was like, dude, like, do what you want. And then Jasper, you maybe go through the thought process.
I cut my hair, and at the time, that was the hairstyle I had. It's kind of growing out.
Yo, that's hard. That's
Yeah, there's some stuff going on up there. I was gonna fix it up, but I got lazy.
That's so crazy.
Working.
I was too curious.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Noah, what would you say was like the hardest part overall of making the movie?
Probably the editing part, because a lot, like, the script was like 20 pages, 19 pages, but just like with all the raw footage together, it was like 25 minutes, 26 minutes, and usually it's a minute per page, so it should have been 19 minutes, but went 6 over. So like condensing all of the scenes, and also like the VHS footage was not originally planned. Oh, I got a text from Jim Folletta, y'all.
Who's that?
Oh shit.
It's actually really long. I think it's like I can't make it text. It's really long. But yes, sir. Yeah.
The editing?
Yeah, the editing was the hardest part. But there was a lot of hiccups on set. Like the lady in the yellow dress scene, like we had set it up like for three. I mean, Sydney can talk about this too. We like set it up for like 3-4 hours, and we were finally ready to shoot, and then all of a sudden the police came, and they're like, let's see your permits, and we're like, we have our permits, and they're like, you don't have the right permits. And we're like, uh-oh, and then they're like, you gotta leave. And so we had to like pack everything up, and then we moved to a different location, and really quietly, and there's still a lot of us, and we still got the shots done, but that was one of the hardest days shooting. But yeah, if anybody else has a question, feel free to raise your hand in the chat. That would be helpful. But yes, any other?
Oh, okay. Sorry if I was being like impolite.
No. You're good. Just future reference. If anybody wants a question, just do a little hand raise. But Mikey, you're all good. Ask away. I like your background, Sebastian. Yes, sir.
I've got a question. No, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
So when you're working on a film for as long as you were, like 2.5 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
How does your like idea about the concept change over that time, given like the footage that you did have during the actual production? Just curious about how that process went in the editing side.
Yeah, I think like the philosophy I took was like I wanted to be as true to my original intention and idea in the first place, because I could have gone so many ways with it, but I wanted to really just recapture the essence I fell in love with. I think making a film, like you really in love with your idea, and then like you start trying to make it, and then it becomes really hard to recapture that magic again. And I think the process is just like you're just trying to recapture the magic you fell in love with in the first place. So I just try to stay true to that. So yes, sir, that's what I try to do. What is Mason has a little. Mason, would you like to explain what you have in your hand? You gotta unmute.
So this is a short story by Ernest Hemingway. Ever heard of him?
It was like, what?
This copy right here, someone printed this out for me in high school, and I can remember after starting this project, Noah told me that White Castles was inspired by this short story by, and I was like, no way, I actually love that too. So if you ever read this, I'll just read you the first line of this short story. The hills across the valley of the Ebro were long and white. So
Yes,
that's one of the primary inspirations.
Yes, sir. That's why his name Ernest. Yeah, that's a big inspiration. White elephants. Sounds like wild.
It's short. Read it. Let you know.
I read that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah. That's like one of the big inspirations. I read that, and then that's where I came up with the idea for the end. Even though like the story doesn't have much to do with any of that, but that's how I got the idea. Yes, sir. Okay, Michael, I see your hand raised. What's good?
So I asked what the hardest part was. What was your favorite part? And do you have like a favorite scene in the film?
Damn, favorite part. That's a tough one. There were so many good days. Downtown montage scene for sure was really good. That was really fun. We actually, so the first 2 days of shooting, the first day we shot a scene and we didn't like it, so we reshot the scene the next day. And the day that day we reshot it, we were supposed to just shoot the montage scene, but we decided to pile the two scenes together. So it was extra tough. But fun fact, also that scene didn't make the movie. But that day was really fun for me, just because we got to reshoot and then shoot in the downtown montage. I think the day thank you, Archie. The day in the mountains. The first day we went to the mountains, we also got kicked out. We were like,
we both got a citation actually.
Yeah, we got a citation and all that. So like we had to pretend like we were just having a picnic. and then like me, Mason, Jasper, Justin, Skylar, and Alex, I believe, Alex, our sound man, one of our sound men. We went up together and like kind of like very discreetly went up, and I like your background too, Sam Macintosh. But yeah, we went up and we like it was just 5 of us and we shot the scene. It was really intimate and nice. So I think that scene really benefited from those circumstances. Mason, do you also have your hand up? What's good?
Yeah, I was gonna say the most fun part for me was like you said. So we went up to the mountain that first day, and then the shit kind of got shut down, so we had to go back up a second day with a skeleton crew. And I don't even think we brought sound. It was just you, me, Sky, Justin, Jasper, and so that's the shot. The kill shot and like the part when we're swinging on the swing.
Yeah.
And every time I watch White Castles and I see that part with just the fog over the city, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I was up there that day. Like, this imagery is so incredibly beautiful. I cannot believe that I was there to witness that, a part of that. Also, this is the ring. This is the ring that I was wearing in the movie. Yeah, Sarah's got a question. Sarah, I don't know if you saw the chat. Sarah said, what was the inspiration for having the girl meet with Ernest?
Let me see. What was the question?
And then Daniel Ray's got a question. Yeah, check the chat.
I didn't know people were chatting.
Sarah, what was your inspiration for having the girl meet with Ernest?
Oh, I was actually just talking about this. It just kind of I hate to say this, but it just kind of came to me. Like I was writing and I was just trying to figure out how do I say this? Like how do I get Ernest to be understood by somebody? And I just guess it was just the first thing that came to my mind. I was telling them though, it's very unromantic where I wrote it and figured it out, but I figured out at our City Eats dining hall. Or yeah, I wrote it in City Eats, dog. It was like not romantic, not cute, but that's where I wrote that scene. That's what the inspiration was. Yes, sir.
Check Daniel Ray. He said, did you write the poem that Ernest read to his mom at the end.
Yes, sir. I wrote the poem. I actually wrote the poem first. I had the idea like Ernest is gonna get killed by Georgie, and then I just didn't know how to start it. I knew how it ended, but I didn't know how to start it. So I wrote the poem first, and then we got there. I see Chris Moon very eager. So Chris Moon was that. Come on, participate.
Chris.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know if you were saying. Okay, I got a question in like a conjunction with that question about the poem that Ernest read.
Yes, sir.
Was that like I don't know, because I remember hearing Georgie say this, it was something about like Georgie read this poem from somebody, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're kind of in this like world of White Castles where like your poem kind of exists in this film.
Yes.
Is there like a correlation between that and the peanut butter sandwich in the diner scene?
Is there a correlation?
I guess my question is like why did he order a peanut butter sandwich at the diner?
I guess it's really just like its world of its own. Like, to be honest, I don't have a good reason why they did.
No, just likes peanut butter sandwiches.
I just love peanut butter sandwich. Like, you don't like peanut butter
No
jelly
hate.
dog? Like,
That's beautiful.
if you could buy a peanut butter jelly sandwich at Lloyd's Diner, I would do it. So that's why. I just
Okay, do you love cheese and pickle sandwiches?
No, but that's but here's the thing though. I actually had to eat that when I was a kid. Like my parents actually made that shit for me.
Yummy.
Yummy.
I'm so sorry.
Wait, you had a question too.
So fun fact, I don't know if it's in this cut. Who?
What? Oh.
Fun fact.
Oh, no,
fun
okay.
fact.
Here's my question.
Okay, let's let Kian ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you write this like what was your workflow like? Like did you finish the storyline and then like shoot and then edit and then like was it linear and like in what ways did the shots that you got like change the script? How did it change as you went along?
The biggest change is the beginning. The beginning wasn't there, like them singing the national anthem. The beginning was like them before they were gonna drive, and it was kind of like a conversation about Georgie's distaste in Ernest's cigarette habit, even though he's smoking himself. So I want to give Georgie this element of what's the word?
Minnie Riperton.
Oh yeah, we also have
Minnie Riperton.
Jesus.
Minnie Riperton reference. Jasper was listening to Minnie Riperton in the car. But the beginning where they're like singing the national anthem, that was actually from when we were shooting the end scene. And we had one take where we were like, hey guys, we're just gonna have you drive around and just like have fun. And then we just like shot the footage. And then I remember Armand was like, you want me to get audio? I was like, I don't think we need the audio. And I was like, are you sure? I was like, no, I don't think we need it. He's like, I'm just gonna do the audio. I was like, okay. And then like thank God he did the audio because now you can hear them singing the national anthem.
Armand was also in the trunk.
Oh yes, so the scene,
fact.
like the scene right before they go into the band montage, if you can see, it's supposed to be like it's like band equipment. You see like a thing.
That was actually our sound guy in our trunk recording audio for us.
Yes, sir. It was Armand in the trunk.
Shout out Armand.
Thank you, Armand.
So can I just say that the beginning scene that was cut, if you watch shout out Asha's amazing behind the scenes movie, like the first 10 minutes of Asha's behind the scenes video is all from the day that we ended up using none of the footage from. So that entire scene that we shot the first day is like the first half of Asha's behind the scenes video. And then Armand got in the trunk, and there was supposed to be like a shot where Ernest like goes into the back to see the band equipment and then sees a gun in there, right? And
yeah,
that ended up getting cut as well.
Yes, sir.
No, wait, I got a question for Mason, Justin, and James. How painful was the ear piercing scene in the montage?
It's fake.
No, well, when they stabbed us, it really hurt. The blood I didn't expect, but other than that, it was mostly acceptable, I think.
Do you guys end up actually piercing? Like, do you guys end up getting earrings for it, or do you
No, we just faked it. They did it all like behind their hands, so they didn't pick us at all.
It didn't hurt at all.
Sorry to spoil the magic.
I'll say I think I mentioned that I wanted to get my ears pierced for the role, but I actually bought the jewelry and didn't get my ears pierced. But I mean, since then I did, but at the time of the movie, I didn't have them pierced. And there's like one shot in, I think it's the beginning, or unless you took that out, but there's one shot of me in the car where like I actually don't have earrings. But anyways, the rest of the time they were fake. They were not real earrings. And then I eventually did afterwards.
Whoa, is Michael Sarah in here?
What?
Michael Sarah.
Who looks like Michael Sarah?
Oh my god, yo from Juno.
Dude, the guy from what's that one with the
Arrested Development?
the comic book?
Oh, shut up, Chris. You
No,
don't know the name.
I'm blanking on it right
Scott
now.
Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim, sorry.
No,
It took you that long to say Scott Pilgrim.
No, what's like your biggest piece of advice to like someone else who's trying to make their own short film?
Biggest piece of advice. If you don't write it, you can't make it. I think a lot of people have ideas, but they don't write it. I think like writing it is there's a Akira Kurosawa interview, and he's like, you know, a lot of these young filmmakers want to make movies, but they just don't write. And they're like, he's like, the way you make, thank you, Jasper, the way you make a movie, like the way you work out what a movie is, how to get through everything is like by writing it. You write it, you see it in your head, and you go through the whole process. I think one of the frustrating things about like film is that it takes so many resources to just to, you know, make a film, as opposed to like making a song. You know, you can make one in your bedroom. It's hard to make one of these in your bedroom.
And do you have any advice for the writing process?
There's also another quote, Jerry Seinfeld's like, someone asked Jerry Seinfeld, like, yo, like, is it writing hard? And he's like, it's hard for like the first 15 minutes. And he's like, after that, it's like, it's fine. Like you get into a groove. And so I think it's just like trusting the process, you know, and just chipping away every day. We got more questions though. I did see Isabella with her hand up.
Yes. Hi, Noah.
Hello.
My question is, do you identify yourself with any of the characters? And if so, in what way?
Yeah, I think I identify with all three in their own particular ways. I think the relationship with Ernest and his mom is based on my relationship with my mom. Jasper's character is like, I honestly wrote it for Jasper, but but Jasper is like, what I saw in Jasper is the liberty to be themselves. And so I see, that's like, okay, in the movie, I want you will take the perspective of Ernest's character, and Ernest looks up to James in a way that he's like, James is a free character. He's like a free spirit. It's like the ideal of the film, the person you want to grow into. So I see that in myself. And then Justin's character is like the unbridled love, the unwavering love that no matter what happens, I'll hold you down. And so that's something that I actually took from my dad too. That is just like this idea of unbridled love. And there's, you know, Georgie's character is supposed to be a little, you know, corny, and like the jokes don't fall all the time, and that's part of like his bravery and his love. Like even though he's not the funniest guy, he'll like put himself out there. And so those are the things I see in myself. We got more questions, but thank you for asking. We got Joe. What's good, Joe?
Do you want to read the question, or should I just ask?
Yeah, ask again. That'd be great.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, there we go. So for like the color style and like the soundtrack, like what gave you the inspiration and motivation to use that?
Great
And
question.
like, was the music yours?
Great question. Music was not mine. The montage part was by Chris and Kian. Chris and Kian, say hi. They're being shy.
Hello, welcome.
But the first song, the beginning song, and the Lady in the Yellow Dress song is by my man Raul Tapia. I don't know if he's here. I don't see him. But Raul Tapia, he made that. And so yeah, just the whole aesthetic. I actually, Mason, I don't know if you remember, but Mason used to run our magazine for our film fraternity. and he had interviewed me before I think like after, I forget if it was after we shot it or before we shot it, but
While we were shooting it.
while we were shooting it, perfect. And so he had asked me about like why I wanted to make the movie. And to your question, I felt like me as a sophomore 2018, I was really, really into the Rex Orange County, Cosmo Pike, like that kind of era of music. I felt like everybody was like on that wave for sure. And
the Kuko.
The Kuko. The Kuko for sure. And so like I really wanted to take that aesthetic, take that idea, and like turn it into a timeless piece. I wanted to ground it in that kind of aesthetic because I felt like that was like the soundtrack for my young sophomore year life, and I wanted to make that sound into a movie. I'm like a big music guy, so I want my I want my movies to sound like the music I like, So that's
100%.
yeah. You have one more question? You have a follow-up question? I heard. Is that you?
It was I no, that was it actually. To be honest, you pretty much answered both.
That's good. That's good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Rosha, what's good? Rosha's my little everybody. Say what's good. What's up, Rosha?
Hi. Hey. I thought it was great, man. My question was, if you could, you don't have to make a change if you don't want to. If you could make a change, would you? Do you have one regret from this movie?
Damn, that's a great question. One regret from this movie. I don't think so. I think it's been so long. It's like, and it's perfect. But I like, yeah, it's been so long, and it just represents a time in my life, And I think art is a reflection of the times, and I think it reflected who I was at sophomore year with all of his faults. You know what I'm saying? It's like all on there. The movie's not perfect, but I don't think I would change a thing about it. Great question. Okay. Mason, I see your hand, but you've already asked. David Yee has not asked a question, so David Yee.
Hey.
What's up, David?
Great movie. Just want to ask, from when you were writing the script, like what element of the script did you like? What part that came to you first? What like did your movie? As like when you, like you said before, when you write a script, the hardest part is like beginning, and once you get going, kind of goes. So like, what idea of the movie was first? Was it like the end when the brother kills him, or like the fraternity amongst the three characters? Like, what was the starting point from when you were writing the script?
That's a great question. The first thing was the end, and then also the second part was the camaraderie. I took a big influence from the movie Good Will Hunting. I saw their relationship. I saw George's character, especially to reflect Ben Affleck's character. So I knew I had that. I had the camaraderie part. I had the end. And I just couldn't figure it out. And then I watched this movie called Darjeeling Limited by Wes Anderson. And in that movie, their story is really about their relationship with their mom, unresolved relationship with their mom. And that's what added the element of the mom. And then after that, that's when everything kind of came together. After I had those elements, like I knew what I wanted to talk about, knew the narrative points, then I started to go from there.
Interesting. All right, for sure. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, Curdy. What's good, Curdy?
What's up? Great film. Loved it. The way that you like framed and like composed like some of the shots with like actually like cutting like shapes out of like into the screen.
Yes.
And stuff like that, or like multi-paneling and stuff. What inspired you to make decisions like that?
Great question. I don't know. I think like people ask me that a lot about like my style, quote unquote, but I'm just drawn to it. I'm just like drawn to those kinds of things. It's just like my initial first instinct reaction. So when I see like the location we are and choose to frame it, I think those are the things I'm really into. I think you can see it in my work still now. I think I like when other things frame other things. I think it gives it a new kind of context. And I wanted there to be an experimental part of the film, experimental idea of the film. Sorry, I'm laughing at Christmas background. um, but yeah, I think I wanted my film professor Pablo Riquelme likes to tell me I'm an experimental filmmaker, but I don't think I am. I think like I just like I don't know. I just like don't like following regular things. I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know. I don't know.
That's experimental.
Yeah, I guess so. But
Well, it looks great regardless.
thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I love your lighting. Josh Chung.
Yo, what's up, Mr. Namgung? I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I've been following you ever since Creative Logic with 2 V's.
Hey, Creative Logic!
But yeah, my only question is, I had some homies who weren't able to log into the stream. Are you planning to upload the film to your YouTube channel after this?
I do have I have it unlisted, so all you need is the link.
Gotcha.
The link. You can send the link out.
Dude, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Sir, I got you.
Question though, why wouldn't you want to upload it to YouTube? I feel like a lot of people would watch it.
For film festivals, if you want to submit stuff to film festivals, you're not allowed to like put it out in public until like after.
There's been a lot of stories of like people that post their films and then submit to festivals and then they automatically get disqualified. So we definitely don't want that to happen for us.
Yeah. What film festivals do you want to enter it to?
Some of the big ones. We were thinking about Sundance, Cannes,
South by Southwest.
But honestly, just like where we'll get in where we fit in. I don't know where this will get received. A lot of
student ones.
Yeah, student ones. Yeah, for sure, student ones. Yeah.
Local ones for sure.
Yeah, I think that's something we're gonna talk about soon. That's kind of the next step for the film is the festival run. Where do we put things and stuff? But yes, sir, we'll move on. Roshan, you got a question again? Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, before Roshan, let's go to Sebastian, and then we'll go to Avery after. So Sebastian, what's good, baby?
I was muted. Hey, what's bracking, baby? First of all, second the better time,
Hey.
I'll ask a fun little panel question. Are you working on another project, Mr. Baby God Namgung?
Yo, great question, Sebastian.
It's a 2-part question, so you gotta get ready for it.
Okay, I got you. Okay, we do have another project. Me and Michelangelo are working on. I'm working on a music project with very strong visuals. So I am working on that. Is Sarah still in here? Sarah is one of the producers. Michelangelo, who's here, is one of the producers. Annie's one of the producers. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. I'm also writing some stuff.
For sure. Also, since you are working on something, is there something that you learned from set or post-production, pre-production that you're going to use for this upcoming project? Let's say you should have asked more people for this kind of thing for extras, or you could have talked a little bit longer with your colorist or something like that.
Yeah, okay. I think I learned 2 big things, and they were not about actual shooting. I need to keep quoting people, but Greta Gerwig says that by the time you're on set, it's over. The movie's done. All the prep you do is what makes the movie. So I think if anything, I would have liked to rewrite the script maybe 1 or 2 times. I think a lot of the time I spent in the editing trying to fix the narrative issues could have been solved in the writing room. And so rewriting, maybe doing at least 5 to 8 drafts would have been good. I think I did around 3 to 4 drafts of the script. So I think rewriting, so really, really making sure that not only is the script what I want, but that it's slim, that it's open for people to move, the actors and all of the set design, all of those things, keeping it really open and simple. I hate to quote again, but Brad Stevens, coach of the Celtics, he says everything good comes from keeping it simple and having good pace. And so
Brad Stevens. But yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah. You said 2. What's the second one? Or is that 2 and 1?
What is it? I said the beginning, pre-production, writing, and then big thing, learning and post-production, editing. it's always good to have another set of eyes. The first like year and a half I spent it editing alone, and that was like really hard. It was really hard for me to like have a fresh eye, like really take a step back and objectively criticize the movie. I was not able to do that just because it was in just like in my own head. So big part of helping it was this gal right here, Annie Tien. She assistant edited, and so like I was stuck at like 24, 25 minutes, and then when I came to Annie, she brought it down to 22. And so having another set of eyes, having a real plan for post-production. I think
thank you.
That's a big thing. But yeah.
All right, thank you so much, baby God.
Thanks.
Keep making projects.
Thank you very much. Okay, Avery, what's good, Avery? How you doing?
Hi. I have a question actually for Miss Annie.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part of this film as a producer?
Definitely shooting in San Francisco. Like, I remember just all the time on set, we were getting busted for permits. And then even though, like, I would bring a permit to set, like, for some reason, it'd always be, like, a complication, like, oh, that's not the right permit, stuff like that. So that was definitely really hard. Another one is also probably getting extras. Like, you definitely have to account for, like, you know, people saying that they would come and then not come, and then also for things to go wrong on set and for them to leave. So then having backups for sure, and always like expecting the worst, but not in a bad way, but just so like you're more prepared when you're on set and know what to do and not like blank out. And luckily Noah is really quick on his feet, so he's able to like fix a lot of the mishaps that happen on set. So yeah.
Love it.
Thank you for your question. I know Daniel Ray has a question. So Daniel Ray, what's good, baby?
Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, I had a question for the actors. I want to know how it felt. Of course, seeing yourself in the final production is always different, but this was filmed quite a while ago. So how have you evolved since then? What is it like reflecting back on a character that's been honestly a little bit of time since you've portrayed them? What was that like going back, seeing it on screen, and like maybe what would you have done differently, or how have you grown from that experience?
Mason, you want to start? I need a second.
I was gonna refer Jasper. Thoughts?
Dang, y'all. I think Noah put it really nicely. Yeah, there's like things. I mean, this was like the first thing I've ever done, to be quite honest. There's things I change, or lines or styles or walking and stuff like that, but it's kind of like an old me, and I think that was the best I can be at the time that we did this. And if we were to do it again, I think I could be a little better. But I think probably the biggest thing is I wanted to be in a film. I was in a film, and I had a hell of a fun time doing it, and very enjoyable. No regrets. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm a TA for another class, so I'm trying to get good at the like question answering.
Yeah, watching a performance that like you did a year or two after you do it is never like super fun for me, because it's always like, oh, I would have done that different. Like, oh well, yeah, you only ever see the mistakes really, but you just know that like at the time you gave it your all, and you do remember it differently, I guess. I remember really liking the costumes. I remember those being hugely helpful on set. I remember staying like before we actually started filming, just hanging out on Noah's carpet for like 4 hours a couple times, just rehearsing and going over. It's nice. It's kind of like a trip down memory lane. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I would say, I mean, yeah, like relating to what Justin had said, it's just so nice to be able to look back and see the, you know, just to be reminded, like for me, the scene where we're lying on the grass talking about the family trip to Big Bear. When I watch that scene, I don't see the scene. I see the view that I had of the trees and the night sky of when we shot. Like, I just remember being in that moment, filming that scene and like telling this story that's not even mine. But for me, it was just such a great experience to be a collaborator on that film, and not just to show up and say the words, but to be able to help develop the costume and help develop the character and help develop the scene and really put myself into that. Having said that, I've also seen multiple cuts, which has been, I've just been so happy to be included in the project since it was shot. So it is a bit weird to see it now tonight. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this movie a bunch of times, but I watched it with my family and my parents who had never seen it before, so that kind of put it in a new context. And I don't know, I'm just super grateful to be in this experience. And I texted Noah the other day when he told me that we were premiering it tonight. I said, man, I just wish we could be shooting a movie 5 days a week, and it's been 2 years, but I'm also a little bit sad that it kind of came to an end, because the myth of White Castles was so fun to just to have. But I don't know. It's just like being on set is the most fun part, and I'm just so grateful. Anyways, to look back, yeah, it's kind of funny. You do see the parts that you're like, oh, I wish I could change this, or I would do that a little bit better. But in the end, it's the director and the editor that look at it and go, that's the best part that we have, and that's going to be good, and that's going to make people feel some type of way. So you just have to trust in them and know that you're saying words that are written by someone who knows what they're doing, and you're being told to do by someone who knows what they're doing. And in the end, it's going to be their movie, and you're just lucky to be a part of it.
Quick question: have you guys acted in other stuff since then, or is White Castles like the only thing you guys have done? The actors.
Yeah, I mean, I've done like a couple other things. Is Cameron Bonham still around? Cameron Bonham? Cameron Bonham. Yeah, I just did a film for Cameron Bonham. Yeah, I mean, I like to do acting. It's a lot of fun. So I've done a couple other things.
Would you consider yourself like an actual aspiring actor, or were you more so like a friend of Noah's that just kind of wanted to be in it?
I'd say Noah, from my memory, asked me because I was interested in acting, and I still am. That is something I'd like to pursue. That's why Cameron asked me to do his film as well. So I mean, yeah, I'd say I'm an aspiring actor. What about you, Justin?
Probably the same. I remember reading the script and being excited about it, and I don't remember how many times we ended up auditioning. I remember we did like these screen tests. That was a lot of fun. I haven't done anything for a minute now, but I'd still like to. I've been trying to focus more on writing, especially after the past like month and a half. But it's an uphill battle, but you do it.
Also, Noah, I would love to act in a film. So
yeah, I got you. Little Kid Smoko film. Little Kid Smoko biopic.
I got acting chops, baby.
That could get hectic.
Same, bro. Same. Cast me. Put me and Michael in the same thing, bro.
You can be like that biracial.
White man can't jump.
Those biracial friend or
couple.
I will say this about Noah as a director. He's very specific to what he wants, and not every production lends to this, but we did have ample time, probably like twice a week, if I remember correctly, to rehearse scenes before we shot them at his place, and that was immensely helpful. So just know that if you do work with Noah as an actor, you're going to be treated very well.
And there'll be a ton of rehearsal, and it'll be great. The rehearsal was amazing. That was some of the most fun I had, probably.
Okay, we got a lot of questions. Ramon, let's get Ramon in here. Ramon, what's good, baby?
What's up, man? I like the film.
Thank you.
My question is that before you even start making the film, before the camera's rolling, before the actors and everything, you're staring at a blank piece of paper or on a blank screen. What makes you want to tell a story? What makes you like draw to the story? How do you dive into it, into that, and how do you feel like, oh, I gotta tell this story. I gotta share this with people.
I have the urge to quote someone else again, but I would do it.
Do it. Do it. Say the quote.
Okay. Exhibit. Okay, it's Sebastian like this. Exhibit A on J Electronic. It goes. Do you ask a dove why it flies? No, it's just what they do, and like I think it's just like what I do. Like I'm always thinking about stories to tell. I think like I had this conversation with this girl one time, and she was telling me how she felt like there was like enough books out there. There's like nothing for me to say. Like everything's been said. What makes me special? Why do I have something special to say? And I thought that was a great question. A great thing to ask. Like what makes me special to tell a story? And I think for me the answer is if you feel like you have a story to tell, then it means you have a story to tell.
Right.
That's all it takes. Like I think everybody has their own specific stories and perspectives and insights on the human condition, and I think if you have the urge to tell it, then you gotta follow that urge, and the people that get hurt are people who follow that through. Everybody can have something interesting to say, but not everybody can say it poignantly, clearly, and interestingly. That's another step you got to take. And so that drive you carry to take you over those humps, those roadblocks in the way, though that determination is like enough for you to be qualified. I think that's
Facts.
All right, we got Chris Moon. Chris Moon has to ask a question in a minute. Let's get the kid in.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I have I was typing something out. I'm trying to think how to word this. How?
Because you're frozen. Because you're frozen.
Frozen.
We'll go back. We'll come.
I think he's unfrozen now.
Are you unfrozen?
What is going on?
You okay?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You're a mess.
I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi's really bad in my room. Let me go downstairs real quick.
Okay, while you go downstairs, I'll have Michael ask a question.
Okay, so this is to Annie and to the other producers. I know you kind of already spoke on what the hardest parts are with the permits and stuff, but I'm like a musician, so I'm more familiar with like what producers do on the music side. But like, what other responsibilities did you have as a producer?
So I actually luckily had another co-producer with me, so we both shared the heavy workload that a producer would usually get on like a film. So we were basically in charge, essentially to sum it up, just to make Noah's vision come alive, whether or not it's like with budgeting, like scheduling who he wants on crew, like who we trust the most, and like pretty much handle everything on set and keep him in check. So like whenever Noah's being a little too harsh on some people, we calm him down a bit and stuff like that. So it's like pretty much they're involved in the pre-production and production, majority. So yeah.
So pretty much just like all the little details, like scheduling
Yeah,
and
scheduling and then
getting everyone at the same place.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Is Blake here?
Yeah, is Blake here?
Yeah,
All right, Chris, now you can go. Well,
thanks, Michael.
Blake left. Okay, it's cool.
I didn't even know my mic was on.
Okay. All right. So this is my question. So I think I noticed that there are two different like hill scenes, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning of the film, you have like this dialogue that ensues over like sandwiches after they do the first like hill roll.
Yeah.
And they have like a different sorry, can't record. I can't. So and in the second hill, there's like a second hill like walk. There's like a walk down the hill the second time after the lady in the yellow dress scene, and Georgie and Ernest have like a conversation that seems I don't know, it seems like a 180 from the conversation that they had in the first dialogue scene after the first hill scene. Can you expand on how you think that their relationship changed since that first conversation? Did I say it correct?
Yeah. I got you. I think you bring up a great point there. The hills are supposed to be an entry point for those conversations, especially like the idea of them going down into a place is kind of like they're going deeper into the conversation. They're about to have the conversations that they don't want to have, or they're bound to have. So in the beginning, the elephant, is in the room. Ernest is going to die, and Georgie's going to kill Ernest, and everybody knows that in the beginning. But but the relationship with the mom is the unresolved issue, and I think that the issue is still there, right at the end. But what changes is the attitude around everybody in the scene. It's that instead of a place of accusation, a place of defensiveness, at the end, it's a place of understanding. I think the whole movie is really about trying to understand each other, understand the places that everybody comes from. Ernest feels misunderstood. The biggest part of Ernest's character is that he feels misunderstood, and he feels like the gravity of the relationship that he has with his mom, their mom, the gravity of how hurtful it is for him, how heavy the burden is for him. It's not being understood, and I think throughout the film, like that is what blocks that conversation from happening, and that when that conversation happens, um, after everything, after the whole, the diner scene and the lady in the yellow dress scene, um, when they have their conversation, they're willing to listen to each other, and they're willing to understand each other. So yeah, and I think the hills are a metaphor for hate to sound cheesy, but the ups and downs of life, and so yeah, good catch.
So sorry, this is a follow-up question. Is Ernest Ernest admitting that a majority of his actions like being like in compliance to like imitate like everything Georgie does, like joining the band, if you're smoking and stuff like that, is that like a symptom of Ernest's own relationship with his mom?
It's a symptom of Ernest not understanding who he is. I think big part of Ernest's character is a misunderstanding, not only misunderstanding that like other people don't understand him, but he doesn't understand himself. He has to find his identity through people, through Georgie and James, and he feels like he has no sense of himself, that he has to find himself in the very surface level things that Georgie and James do. And the realization that he has to make is that he has to understand himself first, understand why he feels misunderstood, the displacement he feels, and that's ultimately down to the distant relationship he has with his mom. So that's why you also see the VHS footage of his mom before he meets the lady in the yellow dress. The 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 function of the lady in the yellow dress is to function as almost as a speaker for the mom, to understand, to finally give Ernest the understanding that he needed. And so yeah, that's
Awesome. Thank you, Noah.
thank you for asking. Um, okay, Mason, what's good? You have your hand raised.
Hey, so I got a question about the writing. I want to know what the revision process was like. So from when you first wrote the first draft, who did you show it to? How many times did you edit it before you had a script that was ready to shoot? And how did that change? Because I think for myself and a lot of other writers, that part is difficult but so incredibly necessary. So if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I really can't remember the revision process, to be honest. But I'm sure I sent it to Annie. I'm sure I sent it to Chris. I'm sure I sent it to Arzu. Just like I think with any work that I make, I just send it to like these 4 or 5 handful of people. And I think the biggest change in the script was your monologue at the diner scene. That's like one of the biggest drastic changes. I remember our film teacher Philetta had given me some notes, so I changed some dialogue. Chris Moon gave me some dialogue that ended up being cut out, but but yeah, the revision process. Honestly, that's kind of like what I was talking to Sebastian about. Is that I kind of wish I had given the revision process more of my time and effort. But from what I remember, I think I was really fine tuning at that point. I was like just kind of making sure the dialogue was tight and the things flow. But I really don't remember like upholding or like uprooting any of the scenes. So yeah, that's
So you had talked to not only teachers and professors, but also I know you and I, like specifically that diner scene, we had tweaked. So me as an actor, you had talked to, um, but yeah, also teachers and professors too. So
yeah.
I don't know, like what would you say to someone else who's writing? Like who should they send their script to as they're
Dude, send it
getting
to
ready to shoot?
send it to your friends and then don't send it to your friends because your friends will give you a particular insight because they know who you are, they know where you're coming from, they'll be a little more positively constructive. But send it to people who like have no invested interest in who you are because most people don't. And like you want to get fresh eyes, you want to get objective opinion, and it's hard. I think with art, it's a subjective form. So getting the most objective to people who are removed from you, removed from the person you are, the person you like. I think that's also important too.
Was there advice that you got either on the script or the cut that was something that you really disagreed with and didn't implement?
Yeah, good question. I'm sure I got a lot of shit I was like that. I think so. I'm pretty sure I did. I remember. I think the pacing was a big one. We did fix a lot of the pacing in the beginning, but a lot of the scenes, like people wanted me to rush into things, and I kind of wanted to make people sit with like still images and kind of ambient noise. I just wanted to suck people in. I wanted people to invest and commit to a film, commit to the world of it. I think people also wanted me to like cut out Jasper's part because it felt like because it felt like it was taking away a little bit of the focus away from Mason. But I don't think so. I think it really adds another dimension to it. I think it really gives the camaraderie another oomph. You know what I'm saying? And what else did people the montage scene, I've got some notes to cut it. Cameron brought him too. But I think it could have been cut, but I like the way it is. So yes, sir. Mason, I have a question for you actually. Mason, what
Let's hear it.
what okay, I didn't know you had a brother at the time until I, got the VHS footage. But how did your relationship with your brother inform the way you acted with Justin's character, George?
Damn. I mean, I think it really was similar in the way that as a little brother, you do look up to someone. I think my older brother, in a lot of ways, was someone that was cooler and like more traditionally masculine than me, and so it was really easy for me to like adapt to that role as like the little bro trying to be cool and trying to be like his big brother. And so um I don't know, I mean it was just like, oh yeah, I get this, I know what that's like. So yeah, and especially like when your brother has a really cool friend that you want to impress too, that kind of likes you. I don't know. It just felt like I really, really related to that aspect of the part in that particular way. And then, of course, when, you know, it came together and all the VHS footage of my brother actually in there, that really worked out for you as well. I sent it to him tonight. I think he might have watched it. I'll have to ask him and let you know what he said. But for me, I think just being a younger brother is such a specific, unique point of view. I think as a younger brother, I can like be way more eccentric and annoying and push the boundaries in lots of ways that maybe if I were the oldest brother, I wouldn't necessarily do. And I think Ernest embodies that in a lot of ways with his eccentricities, with his style and things like that. So I don't know, I just tried to embody that. And all in all, luckily it was like something that I could relate to and put myself into that character.
Okay, one follow-up question. What did you get from Justin's performance that really fed you to go harder?
Specifically that scene when we're standing on the hill and we're looking at the city right before the end of the film, right before the bang bang. We were standing there. That was the same day that we went up to do all of it, but then we got pulled over. You got pulled over and you got the ticket, and then we had to do it quietly. So it was just like you said, you, me, Sky, and then Alex, the sound guy. And I remember Justin and Jasper like fully brought it and fully got themselves to like emote and like tears from the eyes. And I remember being there and I just like wasn't there, and I was there, but like I didn't have the waterworks like they did. I remember like being there thinking like, damn, I'm just not as good of an actor as these two guys are, like for whatever reason. And so in that moment, in a weird sort of meta way, I was looking up to these two as people who I should aspire to be like fully. But other than that, I mean, watching this movie, watching it back, those were just some of the most like fun weekends, like 2 weekends out of February 2 years ago that were just so outrageously fun. And then when we got to see this cut, I don't know, 2 months ago or whatever, and Justin and Jasper were ever to show up, like just to have that reunion, it's just so fun to just be with the homies again. Anyways, does that answer your question?
I remember the first day I saw the raw footage of you guys doing that scene, like I literally teared up because I was like, oh my gosh, like it totally caught me off guard, and I was like, fuck, dude, that literally hit me so fucking hard. Like just like looking at the raw footage, like with no music and no nothing, just like unedited, like that scene was just so fucking powerful. And so many people wanted to cut it too, and I was just like, no, don't fucking cut it. Like
Yeah,
that scene.
that's a good point. A lot of people
Oh
want
my
us
gosh.
to like cut like get the end a little tighter, but
I was like, no matter what, don't
Justin's
like, fuck that.
How about for you, Justin? Maybe from Jasper and Mason, anything that they did that really fed your performance?
I remember shooting the diner scene, and I remember being very. I remember watching Mason do that monologue, and I remember thinking like, this is really something special. Like that's what he just did was really, really impressive, and I can't wait to see it. And seeing it in the movie, like just the way the camera pulls back while he's going on and on, that was probably the biggest instance for me where it felt like I wasn't a part of making this movie, where it's like I was actually just watching the story unfold and watching him do that. That was super impressive, and I was really glad I got to be there to see that.
Okay, I will say that. Thank you, Justin. But also, one of my favorite moments in the film is like when like the camera slowly zooms in on me, but after I leave, when it zooms back out, and Jasper's like, "Wait, man, come on!" Like when it pushes in and then pulls back out, that's when I'm like, cinema. That is a fucking director right there. That's what I love.
Yeah, honestly, thank you very much. That shot actually was not planned. Like the zoom in was planned, but then I was like, I remember we were shooting it, and then I was like, yo, pull back, you know, and then it pulled back, and I was like, oh, this is money. I was like, we got one. What about you, Jasper? Anything that Justin and Mason gave you that really fed your work? And then I'll go to you, Jared.
Clearly fed my work. Wait, say that again.
Anything that like helped you.
Energies,
what you get, what you receive.
I don't know. I was the music scene in the street, that was very enjoyable. I think that's where we kind of like started clicking and vibing.
Yeah.
Just I think the run and gun kind of less scripted stuff, I could feel in that, like that worked really well. I think brought the energy.
Yeah, Jasper was constantly like, one thing that I feel like I tend to do is overthink things when I'm on set, and any scene that I was in the same shot as with Jasper was always like, I don't know, I felt like he was so good at getting into the moment and not thinking about anything else but just reacting naturally, to the point where it was a great help to be able to like act opposite that.
Yeah, I will say, great point. That Jasper's presence on set, you know, more than on the screen, off the screen, what Jasper brought was like a light. He really he really relieved the pressure, and he really gave us a sense of freedom to do what we wanted to do. A lot of that montage stuff, you know, it was supposed to be freestyle in the moment, and Jasper, you had, you know, some of the most iconic moments in the movie. Jared, you had a question? What's good, baby?
Yeah. So my favorite shot in the whole thing was the part where they were at the diner and then he gets mad and then he leaves before he meets the girl in the yellow dress. How did y'all shoot that part where you're following him running?
Yeah, so there's this movie called 400 Blows by Francois Truffaut, and there's a very famous scene where like they track the little boy running to the beach, and so we were really inspired by that. So what we did was we got in a car across the street, and then we tracked it in the car. So we drove next to it, and we did like maybe like 10, 15 takes, like a lot of takes. Like people were kind of getting mad at me, but
We did a lot of takes. It was probably 2:42 in the morning, and Noah had me running up Nob Hill in San Francisco. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And so I said, what am I doing wrong? Okay, how can I do this better? How can I do this better? It's 2:45 in the morning. I'm running up the hill in San Francisco. What am I doing wrong? He said, no, you're doing great. It's just me and Sky got it wrong. Me and Sky got it wrong. So just do it one more time. It's like the 8th time.
On me and Sky, not you.
And the funny thing is that cuts into a shot of me running like the next scene, which is like 8 miles away. So in one cut, I just sprint 8 miles across the San Francisco.
Some legs, boy.
Yeah, the cut seemed kind of like smooth. I didn't even notice. So I was like, did they get out of a car at some point or what?
But yeah, if you look carefully, you can see the car in the reflection of the diner.
That's what I was looking for.
That was the car that we were using to shoot.
You could. That's funny. You can even hear the car.
Yeah, you can hear the car too.
It's a little rev in the engine, but yeah. Unless if anyone has some last minute questions, we'll take them, and we'll probably call it maybe like 7 o'clock. So, any last questions?
Just great job, everybody, everyone that was involved. Really, I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming for the Q&A, everyone.
And thank you for coming. It was really fun.
It was very
The
impressive.
time of my life.
No,
That was
I
very
know a bunch of
impressive.
kids- I know a bunch of kids that missed the initial live stream, but are definitely interested in watching it. So maybe if you could share that private link with me.
Yeah, I got you I'll send you the link. The link is the same, but yeah, I'll send you the link.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Like, but yo, thank you so much.
Wait, I got a question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Are you still allowed to have it up as like an unlisted link during festival season, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, just as long as it's not under like public forum.
Yeah, because how would they even know? You know, if it's on private.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Love you too, Avery.
Noah, I really want to act in one of your films.
I got you. I'm writing it right now. Yeah, we got you the contract. We sent it tomorrow.
Hope I'm invited back.
Awesome.
Yeah, send me the script. I'll audition.
Thank you guys. I appreciate
Love
it.
to work with you again.
Love to work with you guys. Thank you guys so much. Love you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, cool shit, bro.
Is it really over?
It's over. Dude, it's so bittersweet, but yeah. It's over.
Until Sundance. It's over until Sundance.
Until Sundance. I'll see you at the
Till
Oscars,
Sundance.
baby. Bong Joon-ho was good.
Like Bong said, we're gonna be drinking all night.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Cheers, Mason.
Cheers, Mason.
Cheers, Jasper. Cheers, Justin. Cheers, Noah. Cheers, Sky.
Cheers,
Where's
Noah.
Sky
Cheers,
at?
Annie. Cheers, Sydney. Sky.
Cheers, Sydney. Cheers, Arzu.
Cheers,
for
Aja.
Whoa.
Avery. Cheers, Avery. Cheers, Arzu.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much.
All right.
I'll see you when I see you.
And Asha.
Noah, I'll see you this summer. We're gonna do the Smoke on music video.
I got you.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Peace.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Peace,
All
guys.
right.